Thank you very much. We're on a schedule, you know, so but that was very nice. And Jim, I certainly want to thank you. I'm very pleased to call Jim Senator, and that is great. And also, Chris, thank you for your efforts. And I want to acknowledge all our special guests behind me. Thank you very much for attending. And thank you all for coming. I am so delighted to see you involved in our revolution. I have one update about the revolution. The revolution is spreading and the momentum is building. Our time has come. It's been around for a long time, but the momentum is here today, not because of what I have done. I happen to have been in an important place and energized some, but it is necessary that the grassroots people understand what the issues are. A generation of people need to know, and I am delighted that the young people are with us in this revolutionary spirit that we have. But a lot of other work has been done. It's been the intellectual work. I am convinced that a nation does not change just for partisan political reasons. What has to happen is there has to be an intellectual revolution to energize people and get people to understand the problems from economic and political terms, as well as foreign policy. That is what has been happening now for quite a few decades. There's quite a bit of difference about attitudes about economics and foreign policy today than it was in 1976 when I was first elected. There's a big difference. And it involves a lot of work from a lot of people. And now that so many people in this country have come to understand that government, so far in its pretense that it can take care of us from cradle to grave and police the world, it is so evident to this growing number of people that government isn't the solution. Government really has created the problem. Now, what our opponents so often we like to do is say, oh, you people don't even want any government. But you know, in our society, with our Constitution, there is a role for government. But the Constitution was written explicitly not to restrain your behavior and your life and the way you spend your money. It was written to restrain the federal government. But because of the educational effort and the work that so many have done, but also the strong evidence that there is a failure out there, especially since we saw what happened with the housing bubble, and that was a predictable event that the housing bubble would burst. It did, as the Austrian free market economists had predicted. And because of all this, they have come together and people are now listening to this revolutionary spirit that is spreading across this country. It's great that I am able to announce in this state, a very special state, because there is so high respect for the spirit of liberty here. So I am very, very pleased that I am once again able to say that I am a candidate for the presidency in the Republican Party primary. Thank you. There are many who would like to belittle this effort, but let me tell you, there is an old saying, three's a charm. The conditions have certainly changed, even from 4 years ago. When I think back of the first year that I came up here, it must have been like end of '06, '07. The atmosphere was a lot different. There was an '06 election, an '08 election, and it did not make all of us who believed in liberty all that happy. But boy, I'll tell you what, there has been a significant change. The people have awoken and they have sent a message, elected a lot of new people to your state legislature, and I'll tell you what, I am convinced that the spirit of liberty is alive and well in New Hampshire. You know, there's a lot of talk about what you should seek in a president. And I'm not one that is prone to talk about, I do this, I will do this. But I can talk generically what I think a president should be able to do and should do. One thing the American people want, and I agree with them, they want a strong president. There is no doubt about that. But the question you should ask, where should those strengths be directed? Should the strength of a president be directed toward building the TSA and Homeland Security and policing the world? No, the strength and the character of the individual should be directed toward standing up for freedom, standing up for liberty, and restraining government. That's where the strength should be. There's been a lot of challenges already today and yesterday and this last week because of certain positions. I find one very fascinating and something other candidates may well desert. And that has to do with the drug issue, because it is so symbolic of understanding what liberty is all about. When you think of my position is that you have a right of freedom of choice with your bodies. That, I believe, is a basic principle of liberty. What does that mean? If you have civil liberties and a right to your life and the right to your property, well, it means that you can make very, very important choices. For most of these, most Americans agree with it. They say, yes, the most important thing in my personal life is that I and my family and others, we make our decisions about our spiritual life and about our salvation, which cannot be done by government, and we have to provide the maximum amount of freedom for individuals to make those decisions. So the government should always butt out of our spiritual lives. Also, intellectually, we're fairly good at that. The political correctness movement has tried to undermine it, but basically most Americans believe in the First Amendment and say that we have a right to talk about controversial issues. As I have often said, the First Amendment wasn't written for us to be able to talk about the weather. It's written so that we can discuss controversial issues and actually read very controversial and very dangerous literature, especially the literature that promotes big government and welfarism and socialism and all the mess. So we recognize that to be the case. But all of a sudden, people have lost the respect for liberty, the understanding of liberty, and we have conceded way too much to the government to decide what we put into our own bodies. If we can control what goes into our spiritual life, what goes into our intellectual life, why should we concede to the government that they decide everything that we do with our own bodies? I take a strict constitutional position, and the government has very little authority to get involved in our economic or our personal lives. And so that excludes the federal government from being involved if and when we become strict constitutionalists. The federal government shouldn't be involved. But that does not prohibit the states from doing some of the things that they do. Even though we might disagree with it at the national level, under the national law and the Constitution, states have more prerogatives and more choices. But if we looked at education as an example, The Constitution gives no authority for the federal government to run our educational systems, and they shouldn't be doing it. It should be a state matter. But at the state and federal level, what we should be guaranteeing is the protection of freedom of choice. We should always be aware of the fact that it's very important that individuals who want to opt out, whether it's opting out of Obamacare or opting out of the educational system, we have to protect the right of individuals to homeschool and go to private schools as well. Now, this freedom of choice should lead to other choices about what we put into our bodies. For instance, your right to take things into your body, such as nutritional substances, should never be regulated by the federal government and absolutely never regulated by the United Nations. And I don't know what's so bad about getting the federal government out of the business of regulating unpasteurized milk. Now, that's a real radical statement. But why should we be so intimidated if they want to use the issue of somebody using hard drugs as the reason that we have to give up all our freedoms? It's wrong. It's better to defend a position that says you do have freedom of choice of what you do with your body, but you also have to have responsibility for what you do. And if you do harm to yourself, you can't go crawling to the government to penalize your neighbor to take care of you. I see this position of the government controlling all those decisions as detrimental to progress in medicine. So often there are alternative treatments for cancer and other diseases that are not approved for years and years and years because we have to have the FDA, which is controlled too often by other drug companies, deciding when and what we can do. We, as individuals making decisions with their own physician, ought to decide about all alternative care as long as people are upfront and tell you the truth and tell you the risk and can't defraud you. So in all that I just explained about personal choices and everything I've done in politics, I've never introduced a bill in Washington, D.C. to emphasize heroin. So they take all of what I said and turn it around and say, he would legalize heroin. Well, you know, the plain truth is that heroin at one time in our history was legalized and there was essentially no abuse of it, and it's only in our recent history. And there was a long time in our history that marijuana was legalized. I happen to have a personal, real disgust with the abuse of drugs, but it's all drugs, those that are considered illegal, and I think physicians prescribe way too much medication and get too many people addicted. Now, the line that caught a little bit of attention down in South Carolina was when this came up and they wanted to paint me as this monster about heroin. I didn't get a chance to say, well, I've never mentioned that word. I talk about liberty and freedom, but the interpretation is correct that I do want people to make choices. So in my less than 30 seconds left to make my point, I said, all right, if it would happen to become legal, how many of you would all of a sudden be using heroin? You'd all become heroin addicts. No, people make decisions, and they make good decisions for the most part. But what I don't like is when the government makes the decisions and it violates the principles of liberty. It's a blanket decision and affects us in everything that we do, to the point where you don't even know if you're allowed to drink the milk that you can buy from your neighbor farmer. So So when they challenge you and say that and want to paint a negative picture, stick to your guns. Defend liberty. Defend the free choices. Defend our Constitution. Defend states' rights. Regulations, if they're necessary, as they are on alcohol. There's a few regulations in this state in alcohol. So it's different in different states. But at least there are different states that handle this, and children are generally protected. In alcohol, you know, the kids in high school today can get hold of marijuana easier than they can get hold of alcohol. So it's not like you just turn it loose and dump it out there in the streets and the kids, but ultimately even that doesn't solve the problem. What really solves the problem is good family relationships, families that teach their kids what's right and wrong. Now, because of my understanding of the Constitution and economic and moral policy, I have taken a position for as long as I can remember, since I've been in Congress since 1976, so it's nothing new. And that is that I don't like the federal agencies breathing down our neck and regulating our property, even under the guise that they're there to take care of us and help us. So for this reason, I have opposed the federal government's insurance programs because they cause moral hazard. And the one that they quizzed me on today was the insurances that take care of everybody in the midst of a natural disaster. Well, natural disasters are very, very bad, and they're very, very damaging. And I believe that they can be taken care of without the federal government going further into debt. But through this system of liberty and separate governments and state government, because the point was about flood insurance. I live very near the Gulf Coast. I used to have a house right on the beach. Now, you can't buy private insurance because it's dangerous there and it's too expensive. So what happens? They have to tax you in North Carolina so I can have a beach house in Texas. And then the house gets blown down and the taxpayers pay. But they want to turn that into saying, oh, you don't care about the people suffering from a natural disaster. Well, you know, free markets economics and law really helps us sort these problems out. If you want to build a house on the beach and you love it, yes, buy insurance. Oh, can't buy insurance. Well, that's giving you a very important economic lesson. It's saying it's dangerous to live on the beach. But the people that don't live on the beach shouldn't have to pay for those of us who take the risk and live there and get a guarantee from the government. In other ways, our society and our country has been great. We have been very generous when people really get hurt. Not only in this country we go to help people, but around the world. I mean, when there are earthquakes and other things, we as a people have been very, very generous. I'll tell you what, that's going to end because our economic policies in this country is destroying our wealth. We're not going to have any money hardly to take care of ourselves, let alone help the world. I am convinced that if you think things through, you can figure out how the free market and sound economic policy and sound morality and the Constitution will help us. Does that mean no government? No, the government should be providing a sound currency. They should enforce contracts. They should not be destroying your property rights. They should be protecting your property rights. And obviously, one of the most important property rights that we should always defend is the right to own a weapon to defend ourselves. Other questions that have come up this week has to do with foreign policy, and it should be expected because I am so radical that I want to go back to the Constitution and have a foreign policy which is a pro-American foreign policy and not do the things that we're not authorized to do. But because the status quo, including many Republicans in the past, has drifted over to the assumption that we have to be the policemen of the world. Now, I don't think the American people ever fully endorsed that idea because even in recent history, our candidate in the year 2000 He ran on a humble foreign policy, not going into nation building. And of course, that is what I'm running on, but let me tell you, I believe it and we should do it. And a lot of people would like to label us who believe in that. Oh, you're a bunch of isolationists. Well, I'll tell you what, if you believe in freedom of choice, you believe in trading with other people, believing that you have the right to buy goods from anybody you want. It's your money. Why can't you buy the cheap goods? And so you don't have to be an isolationist. It just means that we stay out of the internal affairs and all the conflicts and the civil wars and the religious civil wars, especially going on in the Middle East. I don't believe we have to be involved in that. I think we make more enemies for it, and it is bringing us down financially. And therefore, we need to reassess it and have a new foreign policy. You know, it gets a little trickier because when bad policy brings bad events to ourselves, such as what happened on 9/11, it's very difficult to say, oh, you know, if we wouldn't have had that foreign policy that we had, we wouldn't be under such attack. That you cannot handle that easily because we have been attacked. There are limits. No matter how many mistakes were made in the past, when a country is attacked, a president and a country and a Congress should respond. So for that reason, I did respond by voting for the authority in 2001 to go after the individuals involved and responsible and go and get the Al-Qaeda and gave that authority. But what happened was the authority was abused. Matter of fact, it was abused and ignored. The authority to go after bin Laden was ignored at Tora Bora. Bin Laden was allowed to get off the hook and escape. At the same time, oh, we didn't worry about it too much. We decided, well, maybe they're Al-Qaeda, or at least they said, there is Al-Qaeda, and there are nuclear weapons aimed at us, so we have to go in and fight this war in Iraq. So what do we end up with? 10 years. 10 years of thousands of our people being killed. Tens of thousands haven't been wounded with serious injuries. Believe me, there's information coming out now that the Persian Gulf War syndrome with the first Persian Gulf War, which took them a long time to acknowledge, is going to have massive number of people, you know, with those conditions coming back. Head injuries. We have a big, big problem on our hands, and that's a cost. Trillions of dollars, thousands of lives, casualties that we have, and to go after a group of people who deserve to be going after, but the cost, as far as I'm concerned, was way too high. Now, though I supported that authority, I had deep reservations with fear that it would be misused. And therefore, I was looking around for another option, and that is when I reviewed what I've learned about the Constitution, and they have a provision in the Constitution that maybe we can have a narrow defined war. Since we can't declare war against the government when it's a band of criminals that are attacking us, that is when they provided the principle of a letter of marque and reprisal. And that is target the enemy and go after them and get them. Now, the good example of how this might work is what Ross Perot did. When he had some of his employees taken into hostage in Iran, he didn't go to the federal government and say, go in, attack them, declare war. What he did, he got some special forces retiree. He got his people in there. He went in and got them out and brought them out. Now, if this principle had been ingrained in our system and we had used it, we could have well paid $500 million or $1 billion to capture the individuals that were responsible. And yet, of course, we didn't do that. That would have been cheap compared to the trillions of dollars that we're involved in now. Not only do I see some of that as a conflict in not doing well? Every time we occupy a country, every time we kill a civilian, and it continues, when we lob these bombs into Pakistan, civilians get killed too. They get angry at us. What would we do if that happened? And they say, well, there's maybe Taliban in there. We have to go get them. The Taliban is not the Al-Qaeda. The Taliban are a group of people who are very determined that they don't want any foreign occupation. That's their religious and political belief. And we joined them when they were so annoyed with the Soviets occupying Afghanistan, but we were on the side of those who said no occupation. So it shouldn't be so unusual for us to come to the conclusion that if we're involved over there, that they wouldn't turn on us, and that certainly is what happened. But if you want to demonstrate the futility of our foreign policy, just think about Pakistan. We're lobbing bombs into Pakistan. Innocent people are getting killed. Maybe a Taliban member is killed who's only arguing that he wants his country back. And at the same time, we give them billions of dollars. I mean, we give them money. I used to say that, our problem in this country is we have only two foreign policies. One, if they do what we tell them, we give them money. If they don't do what we tell them, we bomb them. In this case, we're doing both. So there is a lot of room for a sensible, a common sense foreign policy. And it goes back to the Constitution. But not only is this a detriment to us militarily and for our national security, it's a great detriment to us economically. You can't ignore these dollars that we're spending. Besides, I see politically the real opportunity is cut hundreds of billions of dollars out of the military-industrial complex that doesn't help our national defense. And then we don't have to take this politically unpopular stand that many have on our side and say, what we need to do is cut medical care for the children. I mean, that's not a good point to make. It's more difficult. I think all the programs should be cut. I don't vote for them because they're unconstitutional, but I still think emphasizing big cuts overseas, you could alleviate some of these problems in a political way that would be more acceptable. But this is going to be worked out in Congress today. They're trying to figure out whether we should raise the national debt. And they're arguing once again, if we don't, like if we didn't come to the rescue and bail out all the rich guys in 2008, it would be a depression. Sure, there would have been a depression for Wall Street, but depression was dumped on the people instead. So instead of making the correct economic policy changes, like lower taxes, less regulations, a sound currency, property rights, and paying off the debt, a few things like that, what did we do? We've had all these problems from too much spending and too much taxing and too much regulation, too much borrowing, too much printing press money. So, oh yeah, we're in trouble now. The bubble has burst, so we really have to pump harder. I mean, we have to put more money in, spend more money, borrow more money, tax more money, regulate more, and print more money. And guess what? We're not out of the recession. We're still in recession, and it's going to get worse. This foreign policy is related because it's a significant amount of our spending. And the printing of money, there's an important thing. There's going to be a lot of talk about inflation because inflation is here. But it's very important that we define inflation the way the free market economists do. Inflation is when they print money and increase the money supply. The consequence of inflating a monetary system will be higher prices. Unpredictable where the money goes and when it happens and to what degree, because there's a lot of elements built in. But inevitably, when you devalue the currency, the prices will go up, and we're at the beginning of a big siege on inflation. They say that we have to vote, for the debt increase. And by the way, I'm not going to vote for the debt increase. Their argument is it would be a disaster if we defaulted. Well, it is a disaster if we defaulted, but we're in the midst of a default, and we've done it before. We've done it from the beginning of our history. We defaulted with the continental dollar. We defaulted with the greenbacks in the Civil War period. We defaulted in the 1930s when the American people were denied their gold from their gold bonds that they held, and the gold was confiscated from us. And then in 1971, our promise to all foreign holders of dollars could repatriate their dollars for gold. We disclosed the window and said, we're broke. We can't do it anymore. So we default constantly. Now, they're talking about defaulting that there won't be enough cash. That's not the default to worry about. The default is on you, because the default is they're going to print the money. The national debt will probably be raised. They're going to continue to print the money, which means that they're going to devalue your dollar, and they're defaulting on you. Because if you have a savings account or a treasury bill, if you have $1,000 in it this year, and right now prices are going up closer to 10% a year, so in 1 year you could lose $100 out of $1,000. And when it gets going, it's going to be a lot worse than that. That is a default, but they don't count it that way. They don't count it that way. That is just price adjustment. Matter of fact, it's a deliberate policy of the Federal Reserve to depreciate the currency. That's what their business is. That is why our dollar since 1913 has lost 98% of its value. That's dishonest, it's immoral, it's unconstitutional, and the reason why we ought to get rid of the Federal Reserve. Now, there's a lot of reasons why we shouldn't have a central bank. It's not authorized in the Constitution. It devalues the currency. That's immoral. It's bad economic policy. But the one issue that really is dangerous to our cause of liberty is that it allows the expansion of government. If we did not have a Fed to buy the debt, that is the moral hazard provided to the Congress. We don't have to be responsible, because ultimately the Federal Reserve will keep the interest rates from going up. Even when we can't tax and can't borrow, the Federal Reserve will print the money and keep interest rates low. So it's always there to do that. And then that facilitates the growth of government, whether it's the growth of government to fight wars that we shouldn't be in, or fighting and providing cradle-to-grave entitlement system. So the Fed is a culprit, and we have to address that. We cannot solve our problems without looking at the monetary issue. The great thing about what has happened in the last 4 years is all of a sudden the Federal Reserve and monetary policy has become an issue out on the table. That is a great victory, and I thank so many of you who have helped. Though we did not get our audit the Fed bill passed, although we did get it passed in the House, but it wasn't passed in the Senate. But a lot has happened. We got a partial audit, and some court cases have been beneficial. We are getting more information, and it's astounding. As much as I've anticipated it would be very, very bad, but more than a third of these trillions of dollars that they have pumped in to help out their friends, a third of it went to overseas banks, not to the American who's losing their mortgages. And one bank got bailed out, and guess who was one-third owner? Gaddafi was one-third owner in the bank, and we're over there bailing them out. So this is the reason that we should direct our interest to the preservation of liberty, to the people in this country, and taking care of ourselves. Be prosperous, set a good example, and others will want to emulate us. We cannot spread our goodness with a gun, and using a gun violates our goodness. Liberty should be our cause. I believe for myself, all political activity is for the promotion of liberty, with a deep conviction that liberty and freedom is not perfect. It will not solve our problems, but it will do more good than all the government intervention in the world. A lot of times terms are thrown around: conservative, libertarian, liberal, and all. I like the word intervention. I don't like to have a government that is an intervener, that the government doesn't come in and tell you what to do with your life. They don't tell you what to do with your money, and we don't tell other countries what to do with their problems either. That is the... In many ways, I believe a good president would work in the direction of saying that I want to do less, but I want to firmly and courageously stand up to those who want to do more. They use an authoritarian approach, and when they do, everything that they do undermines your personal liberty. So it undermines everything that was good and great about America. We were never a perfect nation. We don't have a perfect document. But I tell you what, we had the best. We were the most prosperous ever. And there's still a lot of spirit left in this country. So we are now in a struggle. We are in a struggle against those who are saying, and they're angry, we want more, don't cut our benefits, to our group who are saying, we've had enough. What we want is we want our freedom back. The reason I work so hard for personal liberty is a very important reason. It's for myself, it's for my family, my friends, and my neighbors in our country. Because I believe if we did have our liberties, we would have more prosperity. It is truly a humanitarian argument because the other side, they do not produce. But more importantly, I think a free society offers tremendous opportunities. It really releases us, gives us time and the wealth to release more creative energies. And it's in these creative energies, then we can deal with our problems, whether it's our personal habits, whether it has to do with our economic conditions and helping other people, or whether it's dealing with other countries. We will have the wealth. And with this effort, then we can work on our own imperfections to improve ourselves, to work on becoming more virtuous and more compassionate. And this is the society that I want to live in. So regardless, and from the very beginning, it was regardless of what happens, the goal is a very important goal. And I am so pleased to see what's happening in the country. Not only the interest in the Federal Reserve and the foreign policy, but the interest in the understanding of liberty. And where I go, the numbers are growing. And where I really get excited is when I go to the university and talk to the young people. They understand what they're getting. And they understand that something different has to be done. And they also understand that whether they're in high school or in college, the burden will be falling on them. No matter what happens in the next election, this cannot be changed immediately. It can only be changed. One individual can't do it. It can only be changed if the people endorse the changes and our representatives that get sent to our legislatures understand it and do it. And that is where I think we're making great progress. When I first started, I had difficulty in the 1950s even finding the literature. I had an inclination to study and read, but it took a long time. There was no internet. The books were hard to find. Today, it is so great to use the internet to find out what's going on, more think tanks than ever before. And also, if I need a book now, I can get it about 5-10 seconds off Amazon, off the internet, and it's in my house the next day. So big things are happening, and we have to take that and use it for a just cause. And that just cause is promoting the greatness of America and promoting individual liberty in our country. Thank you very much. Yours?
It is. Thank you, sir.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
You got it here. I'm going to cross and go inside now. Okay?
Yep.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, sir.
Good to meet you.
Next.
This sort of has to be spontaneous. Try to look up. Get it ready.
I got it.
Thank you, Dr. Paul.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Paul.
Okay.
Thanks, sir. All right, good. Let's keep it moving.
Hey. Dr. Paul, is this on my contract?
Quick photo, Dr. Paul. Thank you.
Okay, that's good.
Thank you.
Dr. Paul, can you sign that? Everybody also get a photo? Thank you.
Have your camera ready.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Dr. Paul.
Good. Okay. And then. Okay.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
All right, good.
Why don't you guys make the way, please, so that the people can exit
There you
and
go.
we can move the line along, guys.
All right. Next. Who's next?
Okay. Okay. Wait, this is how you take it? Okay, ready? Smile.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait, Nick, just a picture.
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
Grab a sign, hold it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Did you say
Well, I just want to shake
Hey.
your hand. Thank you.
Good. Thanks for being here.
I want to hear a little bit more about energy and individual responsibility from you over the next
Energy.
couple and energy and what should we do? I mean, really, that's one thing
Yeah,
over the
I
coming
can't. I
months.
couldn't do all the issues.
No,
but
no, no, I know, but
that's an
I'll
important
watch
issue.
out for it.
We'll hear. We'll give it.
One quick question. Do you have a message for students who are interested in politics?
Study hard. Don't set your goal to be a politician. Set your goal to understand economic and political ideas, and then there'll be a place for you.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Ron.
All right,
Nice to meet you.
no more interviews.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, sure thing. What?
Well, Napolitano's requesting that you do the interview instead of in a back room on the second step right here. They want to set up over there. Can you live with that?
Well, I can do it. I think that's much better for us.
All right, step right up.
Thank you, sir.
Hello. How are you?
Thank you very much. You helped to awaken my thinking.
Where you are?
There you go.
Talk to my back. I have to sign this, so we can sort of make some.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Hold the sign for
You're a
me.
hero.
Thanks.
Hello, Mr. President.
Hello there. How are you?
Much success.
God bless you, sir.
Hi.
There. You're helping me out here. There you go. Thank you.
Next.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We love you, Ron.
Hello. How are you?
Looking forward to your next money bomb.
Thank you. Thank you. There you go.
Thank you.
Hello.
Good to see you. I skipped class to come see.
Pardon me?
I skipped class to come see.
Oh boy, I hope you're not getting in trouble. Hello.
Can you sign this? I wanted to get a picture. Is that
Hold
okay?
this. Hold the end of the sign.
Yeah.
11:40. He's going to do the live hit from the theater.
There you go.
It's out of memory.
We need to have a car
Says out of
ready to
memory.
get him in.
That's really weird. That's okay.
Paul.
Hello.
Stephen Thayer, nice to meet you. I met you down in Charleston in 08.
Oh, okay.
And we need to get you into Manhattan. That's where I live. And I want to do a fundraiser. How do I do it? Get a lot
Talk
of
to
people.
staff.
Staff.
Can
Right
you
here.
try again real quick?
Yeah.
Can I get?
There we go.
Should work.
Great.
Okay, very good. Good to see you. Hello.
Thank you. Thank you so much for what you're doing.
Oh, there you go.
Thanks a lot.
Hi, Dr. Paul.
Hello.
Thank you for your record on defending the unborn.
All life and all liberty. You can't defend liberty if you don't defend life.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Hi, Dr.
Hello.
Paul.
How are you?
Good. How are you? Thank you so much for what you're doing. You're the best voice of liberty we have.
Thank you very much.
Really appreciate
Okay.
it. Thank you. Good luck.
Hi, my name's Joseph.
Nice to meet you. Hey,
Nice meeting you.
hold the hand.
Who would I go to if I want to find out about volunteering for your campaign?
Yep, I'll get it.
Okay, oh, actually, could you do me a favor?
Yeah, here, take
Could you-
this and email me, alrighty?
Okay, could you take a picture of me?
I'll just unlock it for you. Thank you.
Okay, there's the camera.
Okay, you ready, guys? Okay, you're good. Thank you.
Good seeing you. See you around.
You too.
Hello. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Hold the
No,
hand.
I'm not in line. I'm trying to keep the line in line. I'll let you in. Don't worry. We'll get there.
There you go.
Can we get a picture with you, my
If you do it
son?
quickly, try to get the cameras ready. Okay. There you go.
Thank you so much.
Randy, we'll sign it for you. Ron Paul support. Definitely. There you go. Thank you. Hello.
Thank you, Dr. Paul.
Good to see you.
See you.
I just wanted to say thanks for all your efforts over the years.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here. Hello there. How are you doing? Nice to see you. Hi.
Hi,
How are
Dr.
you?
Paul.
Hi. You hold the end of the sign.
Thank you so much for your support of Raw Milk. And I'm so excited to hear you talking more about food freedom. And I can't wait till
But they turn it around.
NBFDA.
You know, I got to turn it around and say, "Oh, all he cares about is heroin." But it's the freedom that we want.
It is. It is. I'm so excited to run again. Thank you.
Good.
So
Thank
much.
you. Hello there. Sign your picture, your sign here. Good job. Okay. Very good to see you. Hello.
Ron, thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
I'd like to get you my picture.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
There you go.
Very good.
Can I get your signature, please?
Okay. At the end.
And the Fed, too.
Yeah, that's
throw that right on there. And the Fed.
Good boy, Mitchell. Good boy.
Thank you so much, Ron. Best of luck to you now, sir.
Okay.
Can I have a picture with you?
Okay. Very good. Where are we looking? Over here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I have your signature?
No. Picture sign.
How's it going?
I'm from Kentucky, so ran this trip.
How'd you get up here?
Good luck with the article.
Go to the Phillips Exeter Academy
I see.
boarding school.
Came over from the academy.
Good article.
Thank you so much.
Hello there.
Congressman. Congratulations.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, thanks so
Great.
much for coming to New Hampshire.
Glad you're here. Glad you're here.
Got you right here.
The young people are excited.
Yeah, they are. Very much so. Sorry. Great.
Keep it going.
Absolutely. Thank
Your
you so much.
generation.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
I met your son Rand last week in Concord. And he had a Sharpie too.
Yeah.
All right, prepared. Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Paul. How you
Good
doing?
to see you.
Just wanted to do a picture together.
Okay.
Here you go, gentlemen. Smile.
UFC.
There you go.
Thank you very much, Dr. Paul.
Good to see you. Get a picture of the Constitution. Do you know where it's going to be signed? Just hold it to the picture. You want to do it? You want a picture or sign it? Picture. Oh, okay. I didn't know what you were asking for. Okay, there we go. Okay, very good. Thank you. Good to see you.
Next.
Sure, can I get a picture with you?
Okay. And the bed. There you go. That's great. Next.
I heard you.
All right, big smile, guys. There you go. Here you go.
Okay.
Next, go ahead. Can I do that for you too?
There you go.
I got you guys together.
It's an honor.
All right, thank you.
Hey.
Thank
How
you.
are you? Good to see you here.
And the Fed. That's it.
Thank you.
Glad you're here. Hi.
Thank you so much for running again, Dr. Paul.
I wouldn't do it if I didn't meet people like you.
Can I get a picture?
Caring about it. Okay.
I'm a history teacher. It's going to be in my classroom on Monday morning. Thank you.
No, not yet. We're good. We're good for 20 minutes.
Halfway through it.
Good. Where do you want to
We're
sign?
gonna lose my place anywhere.
Right here? Is that
Yeah, sure.
That'll be easy.
That'd be awesome.
Don't go selling it now.
Thank
Donate
you
it
very
to a
much.
library when you're done.
Thank you very much.
1, 2, 3. There you go.
Thanks for
Thank
being
you so much for
here.
everything you do.
Hello. Nice to meet you. Is this your son?
Yes, that's Jacob.
Okay.
He's in training.
Raise him up correctly.
Right here.
Here you go. There you go.
Thank you very much.
Can you sign it?
Yeah, it's our pleasure. Never did this before. Never been to anything like this before. I don't think I'd go to any other one either besides for you.
The general message or something in
Oh, no,
particular?
no. I've been following you for a long time.
You know the whole
yeah, I've been
message.
for probably like 8 years, I guess. First found out about you, and I'm trying to teach these guys. He's homeschooled, and, you know, so good luck, sir. It was a pleasure meeting you. Ready?
How are you, Dr. Paul? Good. Drove down from Bangor, Maine to come and see you. Wow. Well, I'm glad you came down.
Thank you so much.
Good to see you.
There you go.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Can I get that picture of my girls there? Right here. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
I really appreciate that.
Just get a couple
Congratulations on that.
quick question and we'll leave you alone.
Well, I promised these. I will.
Just a little bit, right?
We're gonna do it, but we have a
We'll go fast.
we have a tight. Where's Jesse? He should answer this question.
He's right
Okay,
here.
wanted to shake your hand. Okay,
I read
very
your book
good.
and the Fed, and thank you very much for writing that.
Promised
Really
these people that I would do this for.
Thank you.
We have a scheduled interview, and we have a media availability here.
Well, we'll go get Jesse right
Thank you very much.
Come on, guys. Let's make sure that we can keep everything clear for
While you're signing this, would you have ordered the mission to kill
Well,
Bin
I
Laden?
need to take time to answer that. I can't do that when I'm taking pictures, and I have answered it rather thoroughly many times, but I'm delighted to do it again. But
Okay.
I'm not going to do it in a half a sentence.
Okay, gotcha.
That's well played. A picture of the real place. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Yes. Hi, how are you?
God bless
Good
you.
to see
Thank you so much.
Thank you, I appreciate
I
it.
voted for you last
Well,
time.
great.
Good luck.
Okay. Hey.
Hello.
Good, how are you?
Got it.
Where's the camera?
I don't know. Where is the camera? There it is.
Okay, good to see you.
Thank you.
Paul, one quick one.
I want to do it in a deliberate fashion so I don't half answer a question. Because we're going to do it.
We're going to be sitting down later tonight. I just wanted to ask you about your popularity here. I mean, does it blow your mind at all?
Well, it encourages me. It's very delightful. No doubt.
You take a picture.
We'll see.
Ever since I saw you in the debate in 2008,
This one ran out of ink, I think.
show up Rudy Giuliani. I've been a big fan, big supporter. Emery, can you?
Here you go.
Red?
Wait, there you go. There's a big black one. I might have a smaller black one as well. I got like a ton of them in my pocket.
Where are we looking?
This camera.
You looking through with the baby?
Okay.
Did you say?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
Thank you very much.
See ya. Hey, sir. How are you? Good. Want to sign? Please. There you go. There you go.
All right. There you go, sir. Thank you. All right.
I'm
Sorry, John is in a wheelchair.
I
know.
Camera.
Can we get a photo real quick?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Next. Hello.
Thank you so much.
Perfect. You're welcome.
Thank you. Oh yeah. Okay.
Quick.
Great.
Dr. Paul.
Not my phone.
I have a pen. Hold this a minute. There you are. Glad you're here. Hello. Oh, your school up here?
Yes, sir.
You're in Fort Worth. My son practices medicine close by. Hey, how are you?
Better than ever, you?
It's good to see you.
How you doing, sir?
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Okay. Sign?
See if you can,
Get my tour cut short and go to Baghdad a month.
Are you? Good luck.
Uh-oh, Tony crashed down. It's not fair.
You guys ready?
What?
Hello. Hi, Dr. Paul.
How you doing?
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for joining.
Here, come in and turn around. Turn around, face the camera.
Big
Turn
smile.
around.
1, 2, 3, smile. Oh,
Right in the front. There it is.
Got it.
newfangled things. Okay.
Here you go. Great job.
Want to get that signed? 2 weeks ago, and he's casting his first vote for you in the Constitution.
Oh, wonderful. He must have had good training and good help.
7
hours drive from Syracuse, New York.
What country are you in?
He's from Guatemala. Yeah. So he
He's
knows
glad
the
to be here with you.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Hello.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To be able to do it. So we talk to these guys. These are the New Hampshire press corps patients to come out first. Then we'll go do Napolitano. Then we'll jump in the car and you're going to call Jan Michelson. Yeah, and then you get a break.
Okay, very good. Hello.
Can you just clarify your statements? Do you think that the war on terror and getting Osama bin Laden was a waste of time and money?
I never said that. I never said anything like it. I think we've misspent our money. I think the effort was decent, and I voted for it. I think they blew it because they didn't know how to spend the money. They should spend the money, they should have the effort, but they need to understand why terrorism occurs and what the problem is. But to go and sacrifice 5,000 more Americans, spend $1 trillion, expand the war, fight a war in Iraq, which had nothing to do with 9/11, that doesn't make any sense to me. So that's my argument, is not to get to people who caused the trouble on 9/11. It's just the way they went about and how much money they wasted.
Would you have authorized that mission?
Which mission?
Would you have authorized the mission to kill bin Laden?
Well, I voted for it. I voted to authorize the mission to go get him. But my beef is that it took 10 years and they missed the target. They've been avoiding the target. They didn't keep their eye on the target. They went and did other things. So yes, that mission was authorized to go after him. But I think we don't know. You know, people want to criticize. I said, could have been done differently. Absolutely, could have been done differently. But how can I go into detail when every day the details of the mission changes, you know, exactly how it happened, when it happened, what happened. So that's a different, no, it could have been done differently and I think smoother.
Well, today, I mean, were you suggesting hiring essentially private contractors to go after?
Well, that is what the letter of marque and reprisal does. It introduces the notion that you try to mimic what Ross Perot did when he had to go get his hostages out of Iraq. He took it upon himself. But you could reward somebody like a Ross Perot to accomplish a mission like that and pay him good. You know, big bucks would have been peanuts compared to what we spent and all the lives we've lost. Because if you understand the foreign policy, occupying Arab Muslim nations and killing innocent people doesn't make us more secure. It just makes more people hating us. So that's what I strongly object to. It means if we continue this way, it means that we don't understand it enough to start, changing the whole atmosphere. So, and besides, we're now, determined that we spend all our effort, money, and time killing Taliban. Well, the Taliban's trying to kill us over there, but they're not the Al Qaeda. They're people who we supported when they were trying to get rid of the Soviets. Those are the people who say we don't want foreigners occupying our land. All Americans should understand that. You know, people resent that kind of thing, and if we don't understand that, we're not going to solve the problems that we have.
So, I mean, how do you feel? Obviously, a big crowd today, big announcement.
I feel pretty good, and I've said in there that the enthusiasm and the momentum and how the message is spreading is way beyond my expectations, and it's so different. The atmosphere is so different in the last 4 years, and that doesn't mean only with this campaign that I'm running, but with what's happening in the country. You know, in the interim, we've had a Tea Party movement, we've had a change in the Congress. I mean, there are big things going on, and American people are sick and tired of it, and I think that I'm very much involved in this determination to have a change in government, a change in policy, certainly on change of the Federal Reserve. I mean, that to me is so delightful because they are, the Federal Reserve itself is a culprit in this. They are the ones that facilitate all this spending, and they wreck the economy, then they bail out the rich people. That's what I resent.
What do you think of the health care plan that Mitt Romney had to defend the other day in his speech in Michigan, that, he says, I'm now going to back and stand by what I did in Massachusetts?
Well, I'm not going to speak for him or to it. I try very hard to be very consistent and open, and I'm not called a flip-flopper, and he has to answer to the questions and whether or not he has changed his tune. So I can't really, address that directly.
Do you think he has?
I haven't paid enough attention. I've spent enough time just answering my own questions, let alone analyzing everything that he has said. I knew that, and I did look at that editorial on the Wall Street Journal the other day, which I think was a significant event. So he probably has a lot of explaining to do, but I haven't listened to all his explanation.
And can you just also clarify on the president's specific mission that went in to get Osama bin Laden? What do you think of that?
I think it could be done differently. And, we...
How?
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with recognizing when you go into a sovereign nation that you talk to them. They're supposed to be our allies. We give them a lot of money. They've helped us before. They helped us capture Sheikh Mohammed. He was the mastermind of 9/11. He's in prison. They helped us capture the other individual involved with the first bombing of the towers. And a bunch of them have been captured, brought here, tried, and put in prison for life or executed. I don't know what's wrong with that. I mean, if it would have been, what we do is we build more enemies, and of course they're resenting this fact, but I don't know why we can't talk to them. If for somehow an individual like that was in Toronto, you think we'd have sent in helicopters? No, we wouldn't have done that. So it's sort of an affront. And since they've helped us in the past to capture some very dangerous people and turn them over, I just don't see the reason that we have to flaunt our power outrageously like that. We, for every benefit we get, we probably get twice as many disadvantages, and I don't like building disadvantages and more enemies.
You think they should have killed bin Laden?
I don't know the circumstances. You can't figure it out from the reports. One day they were in a firefight, the next day they weren't. So, no, I think under the circumstances, I think it was unnecessary to do it that way. There could have been an alternative, but you can't fully dissect it because the explanation of what they did is not exactly a record made. It will probably change tomorrow.
Why New Hampshire for your announcement?
Crime charges out there. Do you think you would issue pardons for?
I apologize. We have to step over this live hit right now.
On a federal level, there's a lot of people who have never committed a crime and are totally nonviolent. And to clutter up our prisons and spend all that money doesn't make much sense to me because I want to get rid of the federal war on drugs.
Why New Hampshire for your announcement?
It's an important state.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right. I'm going to be working on your campaign also.
Oh, wonderful.